Welcome back. And what in the internet computer is going on here? We are now hearing from Dominic, the founder and CEO of Dfinity, which is the main development company behind the Internet Computer Protocol. He is putting up two proposals to change the way Internet Computer processes and looks at the staking ecosystem, also called the network nervous system and neurons. So, just to give you guys a little bit of background, Internet Computer's utility token ICP can stake within the neuron of the network nervous system, which is the core of the Internet Computer, to engage in network governance and earn voting rewards for the participation. Neurons are called not dissolving by default. In order to unlock and withdraw tokens, a token holder must completely dissolve their neuron. Effectively, neurons is the staking ecosystem, right? So you stake your coins in the network nervous system, and you have a neuron dissolve delay. That means how long you're locking your coins in the staking ecosystem for. Now, we've covered liquid staking versus non-liquid staking in crypto previously, but let's kind of review it a little bit before we get into what these two proposals mean. I'm going to break it down and give you guys my opinion, what I would say on these proposals, whether they're good or bad for the ecosystem. And we'll also talk about why some people are not for this. But before we go there, make sure you guys give the video a free thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss a new video. We upload a lot on this channel since 2018 to bring you the latest happening in the financial world. But keep in mind, these are just my opinions. I could be wrong. Do your own research and don't make investment choices based on what I say. But guys, thumbs up are free. Internet Computer is not free. Moving on. So, there's two types of staking generally in crypto. There's liquid staking and non-liquid staking. Non-liquid staking means your coins you can stake to the ecosystem, and your coins have to be locked for a certain amount of time. Now, this could come in many different ways. One, you choose the amount of time. Two, there's a withdrawal delay. So, for instance, there's some ecosystems where if you want to pull your coins out of staking, you have to wait 5 days, 10 days, a month. And in Internet Computer, you can stake your coins for anywhere from 0 months all the way up to 8 years when I'm recording this video. But there's talk about changing this, this mechanism. And we're going to talk about why they want to change it. But as you guys can see when I'm recording this video, there's about 242 almost 243 million coins that are currently being staked. So if we do the math on this, 243 million, and the current price is about $12, give or take, we'll just say $12. That's almost $3 billion is locked in Internet Computer staking. Now, if you look at the Internet Computer dashboard and look at the NNS, Network Nervous System, that's the core of Internet Computer, and look at the neurons, this is how long you're staking your coin for. I know that it's very wordy and there's a lot of different verbiage that they use, but I'm trying to make it as easy to understand as possible. So yeah, you can see here that as of me recording this video in middle of May 2024, 137 million coins are locked for 8 years. Another 10 million is locked for 7 to 8 years, 5 million, 6 to 7 years, 2.6 million, 5 to 6 years, and so on and so forth, right? To bring us to 243 million. Now, why would somebody lock their coins for that long? That's a big question that a lot of people ask. Cryptoviser, why would I want to lock my coins for that long? Personally, I get asked this all the time. Cryptoviser, are you staking your coins? The answer is no. I do not believe in not having access to my funds. That's personally. I don't do it. I want access to my funds at any point, right? People say real estate is the best investment. I don't agree, because if you have a real estate and you can't sell it, it's not liquid. You can't put your house up today and have the money tomorrow. In crypto, in stocks, you can, right? That's liquid, having the liquidity, right? And so the reason people stake their coins in crypto is typically because they get something in return, whether it's rewards and more coins, and or whether it's they get voting power. Sometimes they just believe in the ecosystem, so it's for the security of the network. There's many different reasons people do it. Now, if you're doing it because of rewards, you have to understand those rewards are coming from somewhere, right? And we've talked about this in other ecosystems previously. And typically, the coins are either newly minted coins, like in the Ethereum ecosystem, and that creates inflation. Now, when there's more coins and there's no burn mechanism, this creates price suppression. Because remember, the price is based on the market cap, and the market cap is based on the circulating supply. So when you increase the circulating supply, the market cap stays the same, the price goes down. Do this over the course of 3-4 years, millions of coins being staked, this can really hold the price back from improving to what you think the value really should be. So this is a huge issue in a lot of these crypto ecosystems. Now, some crypto ecosystems have created burn mechanisms where a portion of the transaction fees are burned to offset the inflation rate. Some other ecosystems, there's other aspects to the tokenomics to like keep the supply somewhat limited. But what Dfinity and Dominic are proposing is changing the way that people stake. So we're going to go through these proposals, and I'm going to tell you guys what I think about the proposals, whether I am for or against them, and also kind of a little bit more into why I believe maybe we need a video from Dominic on this to explain this in more simpler terms, right? Because now we're in the post-halving era of 2024, and what I believe is the bull market. And in this cycle, we're going to have a lot new investors, a lot of new participants, new engineers. And internet computer uses a lot of different terminology than we hear in other ecosystems. And so it can become very complicated and complex. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible and give you guys the easier to understand version from my perspective. And I could be wrong, so make sure you guys do your own research. So don't forget to give the video a thumbs up as well, and let's get right into it. Dominic posted this in the middle of May 2024. He said, I want to propose 2 changes that we can make to the NNS. Remember, network nervous system. Just think about the core of the internet computer, right? This is the network nervous system of ICP. It's the core of how internet computer operates. So he's proposing 2 changes to NNS governance with the aim of optimizing network tokenomics. These 2 changes are not slam dunks, but they could provide significant advantages, and their purpose should be to continue to improve tokenomics in the same way we constantly make the network faster, more efficient, and more capable as we move into the future. Now, just generally telling you guys, I am totally for this kind of thought process that he has, because tokenomics are important. There's a lot of other ecosystems that we've covered on this channel that are inflating billions and billions of coins. I'll give you an example. Dogecoin inflates about 5 billion coins every single year. Most holders have no idea. Cardano inflates about 1.5 billion ADA per year. And that is causing the coin to be heavily suppressed. And all that inflation from those coins are typically going to insiders, right? Or stakers or people developing on the ecosystem. And what does that do? They're selling these coins to fund their operations. So that causes even more sell pressure on top of the fact that you're increasing the circulating supply, which puts pressure on the price as well. And the fact that internet computer is looking at this and saying, no, we have to tackle this head on is very important, because tokenomics are important. And if you don't understand the tokenomics of the cryptos that you're buying, huge mistake. Because as we've seen with a lot of these coins that do have very high inflation, while they still may be a top 15 coin. I mean, in Dogecoin 5 billion a year, that's a lot, guys. That's a lot. Cardano 1.5 billion a year, that is a lot. And personally, those are not the coins that I want to invest in, because the tokenomics don't make sense. Moving right along. By the way, there are updates to this, but we'll get to the update in a minute. Let's read the proposals. So the proposal 1 is reducing the neuron dissolve delay to reduce inflation. Remember, the neuron dissolve delay is how long you are locking your coins in the staking ecosystem. and they want to reduce this to reduce inflation. ICP has fought its way through significant sell pressure pretty well. He said further step downs in sell pressure are also coming. Their belief is that major venture capitalists who bought in early will be exhausted this year, which will put the network in an enviable position. The other major networks remain mostly held by such parties, the venture capitalists behind the scenes, often in the range of 75 to 85%. Internet Computer Protocol holders are already vastly more decentralized, and the more so it becomes, the better. Nonetheless, finding ways to allow the network to breathe still makes a lot of sense, and one of the ways we can address that is by reducing inflation. Today, the primary source of protocol inflation is governance staking. The question is, can this be reduced by updating the protocol without breaking promises the network has made to those who have staked? The answer is yes, potentially. So here is the outline of the proposal. 1. Reduce the dissolve delay of all neurons by 5/8 to 62.5% of what they are today. The age property of neurons would stay the same. The age increases over time, benefiting voting power, and is set to 0 whenever the neuron is placed into dissolve mode. The minimum dissolve delay at which neurons can gain maturity by voting would be reduced to around 3 months. The overall notional voting reward distributed by the network, which is logically distributed by votes to determine how maturity increases, would be reduced, such that the rate at which neuron maturity grows, given some amount of ICP is locked, dissolve delay in age would remain almost identical to that of today. You're going to say Cryptoviser, what the hell does that mean? Honestly, I have no idea. This is why Dominic needs to make a video and talk in like very layman term English, right? Not all of this terminology that nobody knows what the hell they're talking about, right? Generally speaking, what he's talking about is reducing the dissolve delay. Right now, as we discussed, the maximum you can dissolve for is 8 years. And over that 8 years, it increases your voting power, gives you more rewards and all of that. But with that, it increases the inflationary rate. This is an issue because as time goes on, if there's constant inflation and constant sell pressure and constant, it's just too much. And eventually investors are like, I'm out. And that is not good because investors, not just talking about token holders, but like people investing in the ecosystem, to participate in the ecosystem, you need the coins. And if to acquire a coin that's going to continually be diminishing in value because of inflation to keep the network running, it's not sustainable. It just is not sustainable. And we're seeing that happen with people exiting at very fast pace some of these other ecosystems that just inflate and inflate and inflate and inflate. And anytime you say coin burn or let's change a parameter, all hell breaks loose and nobody wants to do that. Those are non-investable assets. Personally, I think Internet Computer is investable, very investable from my perspective. But what would this mean for the tokenomics? Dominic says the main benefit to the tokenomics is that it would reduce the amount of new maturity that neurons gain by just under 20%, which is definitely significant. The immediate impact ICP would be less since many do not use their neuron maturity to create new ICP. But especially over the long term, this would definitely have an effect. Effectively, as you're dissolving your neuron, you're creating new ICP, right? As that's kind of like your reward. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that in proposal 2 it's coming up in just a few minutes. This would mean if you have 8-year neurons, right, the 8-year locking mechanism, and this change were made, then you would now have 5-year neurons, and the maturity would grow at the same rate as for 5-year neurons today. So you would not be able to stake for 8 years or dissolve delay over 8 years. And it would reduce to only having 5 years and that 5-year dissolve delay. Clearly, that's going to be less than the 8 years and all the tokenomics behind that. Those with 6-month neurons, currently the threshold for gaining maturity by voting would then have 3.75-year neurons, but they would still gain maturity since the minimum threshold for gaining maturity would be reduced to 3 months, which would also be useful for those wishing to try out governance staking for the first time. Like I said, I don't like to not have access to my coins or have a set period that I can't access my coins. And so reducing that so that people can test out the waters and see how the ecosystem works and see how the voting works, it's probably better for everyone and for onboarding new users who are going to stake and build in the ecosystem. And this is going to tie into the second proposal that we're going to go over in a minute. 5 years is a very considerable amount of time to make this commitment, but it's not mind-bending as 8 years, which makes the system more friendly, which I agree with, right? Most people, when they hear 8-year neurons or people call it the 8-year gain, this is ridiculous, guys. As an investor, as soon as I hear 8-year staking, I'm like, oh, I'm out. I don't even want to hear anything more. I'm just out because I'm like, what? And as Dominic says, it's mind bending. I'm like, wait, people are staking their coins for 8 years? That's 2 cycles. That doesn't make any sense. I'm out. Now, obviously, people need to do more research on it, but that's not what people do. They look at the market cap list, they look at the tokenomics, and they say yes or no, just from a very high level. So these other coins with this high inflation, not investable. But Cryptoviser, it's not really that inflation because no, not investable. You're inflating 5 billion coins a year or 1.5 billion coins a year. Too much. Because what is offsetting that inflation? Now, granted, Internet Computer does have a lot to offset the inflation. They have AI compute capabilities, very high capacity smart contract capabilities. They're really there for, cloud storage, decentralized compute, similar to like what Render does and Near Protocol is going to do. It's not a one-trick pony like Ethereum. It's like, oh, we can only do financial contracts and it's very slow. Or Bitcoin, you have to use the layer 2 network, so you have to onboard onto layer 2 Lightning, and then you have to pre-fund the network channel. It's just too much. So Internet Computer does have some ability to offset that inflation. But what Dominic is proposing is let's get past this headline staking long term, which nobody's doing in any ecosystem, guys. I mean, it's really mind-blowing to me that so many coins are locked in staking within the Internet Computer. So generally speaking, this first proposal, I completely agree with. Now, Dominic updated this and said that people are not reading the full proposal because people who are staking for 8 years have been, I guess, bitching and whining that they don't want to reduce their staking length from 8 years to 5 years. Too bad. I mean, stake for 5 years and then stake for another 5 years. Like, this concept that normal investors are going to stake for 8 years, I personally would never do it. I wouldn't even stake for 5 years. I wouldn't even stake for a year. And so when I look at the amount that is staked for 8 years, people are going to say, but Cryptoviser, look at how many people are actually staking for this long. These are insiders. These are engineers. These are people who are building on Internet Computer. So granted, they want more voting power. They want more rewards. They want more of a say in the network, obviously. But that should not offset this inability for people to even conceptualize staking for 8 years. This is not everyday investors. This is not venture capitalists. This is not retail. This is insiders and developers and engineers of the Internet Computer that are staking for this long. That's it. And so they're obviously bitching because they want, higher voting capacity. But at the end of the day, their wants and needs of more voting and governance in the ecosystem, in my view, doesn't or shouldn't overshadow the fact that having a staking mechanism where people are staking for 8 years is a huge turnoff to almost everybody else in crypto. So personally, I think that this proposal should go through. I am for it. I think that there obviously needs to be more education from Dfinity and probably Dominic on how they're staking ecosystem works, what the neuron dissolve delay is, and all of that. Don't I don't think that they should be focusing on this cohort of users that are like, no, we want to stake for 8 years, and we're part of the. It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous because no other ecosystem is doing this, and no normal person is going to stake for 8 years. This is crazy. It's crazy. It's 2 cycles. We don't even know what's happening in the next 3 months in crypto, let alone 2 cycles. So proposal 1, personally, I'm all for. I understand why people are against it. I get it, but I'm for it personally. Anyway, moving right along. Proposal 2, this is even better in my view. At least the more I learn about it. So swapping locked ICP for unstaked maturity. So effectively, when you stake your ICP, right, you're staking it for a certain amount of time. And I think that there is a mechanism that you can unstake it if you want, but then you're going to lose the neurons that are not yet dissolved or not yet mature. And then effectively, you don't get that reward or governance power in the network, right? So effectively, I'm not going to read all through this proposal because it is very, very wordy. But the way that I understand this second proposal is that it's going to be a form of liquid staking. So for instance, let's say you have 100 ICP in staking and you're doing it for 5 years, right? But let's say you need to access 50 coins for DeFi. Currently, you can't access it. You can't access your ICP and you can't access your matured ICP without affecting something else within your staking ecosystem. Again, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible to understand. What they're proposing here is that let's say you have 100 ICP locked, and let's say you have let's go with even numbers. Let's say you have 20 coins that are matured, right? So you've been locked in for like a year or 2, whatever, and now you have 20 coins that are matured. Instead of using these coins, because these are newly created ICP, and instead of withdrawing these, which could potentially have a tax implication, because if let's say you withdraw these 20 coins that are matured and you want to use it for DeFi, you are going to be potentially taxed on these 20 because this is considered income. But what this proposal, from my understanding of it, is that instead of using these coins, you would actually be able to swap these 20 coins for 20 of your initial staking coins. Because if you withdraw your coins, you didn't gain anything. These are not new coins. You didn't gain anything. The only thing you gain maybe is the value if you sell the coin. But if you're just taking the coin out of staking and you're putting it into DeFi within the ICP ecosystem, there's technically no tax implication there. But if you took out these 20 matured ICP reward tokens, there would be a tax implication there. So effectively, what this proposal would look at is making these swapped for your coins, right? Generally speaking. And again, this is very different in different jurisdictions, how they tax you. Like some jurisdictions, they tax you the minute that you receive the reward. Some they tax you when you withdraw the reward. Some they only tax you when you sell the reward. It really depends on where you live, and you have to do your own research on that. This is not a tax channel. I'm not a tax expert. I'm not giving you tax advice. I'm just letting you know what this proposal is about. Swapping your matured coins for your staked coins. That way you can use your staked coins in other aspects of the internet computer ecosystem like DeFi, which is heavily underutilized in ICP, right? There's almost, compared to like Ethereum or Solana, which has billions and billions of dollars in value locked in DeFi, Internet Computer has less than $100 million. And so Internet Computer and Dfinity, it seemed like, are trying to grow the DeFi ecosystem and show the interoperability capabilities of ICP. But if you're an engineer and you're staking 8 years, all of those coins, 136 million coins, are not going to be able to move for 8 years. And so by initiating this proposal, this will allow the developers and engineers, because again, these long-term stakers are mostly, in my opinion, insiders. It will allow these insiders to actually take some coins out of staking without having a tax implication and use it in DeFi to grow the DeFi ecosystem, which in my view is effectively creating liquid staking, or a liquid staking mechanism within Internet Computer, which I think could be extremely positive. Okay, so if you want to pause the video right here and read through this whole thing, we're not going to read through the whole thing right now, but I'm going to read for you the outline of this proposal. When a neuron has unstaked maturity, then the owner can swap that unstaked maturity for ICP that is locked inside, such that the unstaked maturity becomes locked and the ICP, your ICP, is freed up. That makes sense, right? Again, pause the video and read this. You're going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? The way I think I explained it is way better. That's why Dominic needs to probably make a video on this to make it a little bit more easy to understand, so that people understand like why this is positive for ICP, because it's liquid staking now, right? So the example of the benefits is unlocking your pre-existing ICP is tax neutral because they're already your coins. So the owner could, for example, transfer the newly unlocked pre-existing ICP into DeFi and borrow against it. This may unlock more liquidity for DeFi. Exactly what we just talked about. The second example is if a Neuron owner needs to realize X amount of fiat gains for financial purposes, they could sell their newly unlocked pre-existing ICP, pay capital gains, rather than applying maturity to generate new ICP for sale, which is subject to income tax. So you get the coin, you're taxed on that because it's considered income. It's like a reward, right? If you get staking rewards, that's considered income. And then if you go and sell it, you're going to potentially be taxed again if the price goes up from the time that you withdraw it until the time that you sell it. So that's important to keep in mind also. And again, it varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. If a Neuron owner wishes to have unlocked ICP to swap for some other token and would otherwise have to apply unlocked Neuron maturity to produce the new ICP, then benefits as per Advantage 2 above would apply. So generally speaking, I agree with both of these proposals. I think both of these proposals should actually go through. I think they should be implemented rapidly. But I also think that they need to do a better job at explaining in non-ICP terminology why this is beneficial. Because I think it is beneficial, as we just covered. I would imagine many of you think it's beneficial as well. There is a small cohort that will say it's not beneficial and they don't want anything to change. But let me remind you guys, change is positive in crypto. And change of these things, there's clearly roadblocks and obstacles that are holding Internet Computer's DeFi ecosystem back, or the adoption of this technology, and or even staking. By implementing these two proposals or changing other metrics or mechanisms of the staking ecosystem and the tokenomics, just generally speaking, this can improve multiple aspects of the ecosystem: liquidity, DeFi usage, swap usage, more coin creation, like different projects building their own ecosystems and coins. It can increase the staking itself, which increases the security of the network. And it increases the trust that the network is able to do. It's not a one-trick pony, because there's a lot of one-trick pony blockchains out here and tokens out here. And Internet Computer is very different in that way, that you can do way more than most of the other major cryptos and blockchains. And so these type of proposals are just going to enhance that. and make it even more usable. And in my view, the more usable, the more adoption, the more usage. And then that's when the venture capitalists come. The big companies sign on board. They start using this technology on the back end where you don't even know that it's being used, but it's being used. That is bullish. And this is one of the huge reasons I am an extremely big ICP bull. It's not my largest position, but it's definitely a bigger position. And I'm going to continue to probably add on the dips because I do think that all of this technology that we're seeing getting deployed has been years and years of building. And the engineers are ready to see it all come to fruition, and I'm excited. And I hope you guys are as well. Don't forget to give this video a free thumbs up. Do your own research. Nothing I say is financial advice. I could be wrong about anything and everything that we discuss in this video or any other video that I post on this channel, but I'd appreciate if you give the video a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you on the next video. Crypto on.